Hello, Steve Mills, and welcome to my results podcast. It's great to be back sharing with you some more ideas, ways in which you can grow your business that are proven ways. Now, for years and years, I have always been preaching and teaching the idea that you should build your business based on multiple streams of income. This is something I learned from Jay Abraham. Now, Jay is pretty much acknowledged as the world's leading marketing expert. And the idea behind it is that, if you look at probably almost any leading world expert in business or marketing or sales or, just an astute business person, all of them have what Jay calls multiple streams of income. You take someone like a Richard Branson. He doesn't have one way of making money. He has multiple businesses, multiple investments. And if you dig down into those businesses and investments, he has multiple streams of income. For example, he has multiple products. So, Virgin is not just about one product. If you looked at those products, you could dig down and say, right, he's got multiple ways of marketing. He doesn't market, any of his Virgin businesses using just one thing. He does multiple things. And, that concept is so right and so true. And yet, I do see business owners today tell me things like, well, we don't do any marketing, Steve. We just rely on referral. And, I just feel sorry for them, really, is the truth, because they're missing out on so much extra income that they could be creating, but they just aren't because they're relying on one thing. Now, I'm going to, at the same time as telling you this, I'm going to be promoting in a moment the idea of using one thing. Let me explain. So, if you're building a business at the moment and you're one of those people that says, we don't do any marketing, we just go networking, or we just rely on referral, or it's all about word of mouth, that's all we do, or you're one of those people who say, well, I don't really get digital marketing, we don't do any digital marketing, then let me tell you one thing here, and that is you are losing a fortune. You're losing a fortune in unforeseen income. Income from all those things. You're not winning any business from your website being found on Google. You're not winning any business from email marketing. You're not winning any business from geofencing or buyer behavior. You're not winning any business from pay-per-click advertising on Google or Yahoo or Bing or Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn or Twitter. These are all potential income streams, along with a load more things like exhibiting and networking and so on and so forth. So if these are really good income streams for you, or could be, then my first question is, why aren't you using them? If you are using them, and you've got, like most sensible business people have, you're already employing multiple streams of income. You've got a website and you're doing some email marketing, and perhaps you go out networking, and you got some leaflets that you give out, and you're maybe doing some advertising on Google. You're doing 4, 5, 6 things. Then a couple of questions for you that might be useful is, firstly, what are you doing to improve the effectiveness, in a way, the return on investment from each of those strategies, because that's really important. And then secondly, what are the things that you're not doing that if you did do would also create additional income? If you're doing, pay-per-click advertising on Google, for example, and that's working really well, then, it just makes perfect sense to me to go, right, okay, well, we really ought to have a look at Bing or Yahoo. Now, the good news about those things is, the good news and the bad news. The bad news is they're probably not going to work as good as Google, because Google's by far the biggest. But the good news is they'll probably be a lot cheaper than the cost of your advertising or pounds back on those particular websites too. So why wouldn't you want to do that? For me, I absolutely would. So, you might want to think about that. But really, the subject of this podcast is all about the one thing. So I've told you about the negative side of the one thing being you only do one thing and you hope that works. Now let's look at the positive side of the one thing. What I want those people who are already marketing themselves using multiple streams to do, apart from, improve the effectiveness and build additional streams, is I want you to think about, out of all the things that you're doing, so if you're doing, you've got a website, you're doing an email, you're doing pay-per-click, and so on and so forth. Out of all that, what is the one thing that works the best for you? Or what is the one thing that has the most potential to win you the most business in a cost-effective manner? And then work on doing that better. Work on doing that better. Find the one thing that you could do outstandingly well and then do that. Does that make sense? For me, it makes total and utter sense. You take something like social media. Back in the day, 8, 9, 10, probably 10 plus years ago now, I thought to myself, right, this social media thing's really burst onto the scene. I need to, really start to embrace and understand this as a marketer. And I was okay at it, but, I wasn't really an expert in any element of it. And I thought, there's so many different social media sites, and they were springing up left, right, and centre. And, right now there's probably half a dozen really big ones. But there's still hundreds of other ones. And I thought to myself, what's the one thing? What's the one social media site I'm going to really focus on? Now, I don't just use one site. I use multiple sites. I've got, very good contacts on Twitter. I've got over 70,000 followers on Twitter. I've got the same on... Actually, no, it's less than that. It's about, I think, 20,000 on Facebook. But the one that really, for me, works the best, the one that I've become a specialist in, is without doubt LinkedIn. Oh, and by the way, coming up soon, I'm running a workshop on LinkedIn. So if you do want to know more about LinkedIn, then, why don't you go to my website, stevemills.co, click on the training page, and you can find details of the next webinar. I know the one, as I'm recording this, it's coming up soon. So, and I run them every so often. So by all means, if you go to the website, you'll certainly find the next one. And if attending a website's not for you, then I've also on my website, there's a section about my online LinkedIn training. So you can train yourself from the comfort of your home 24/7, whenever you like. Train yourself multiple times, and you might want to again, take a look at that and see if that's for you. And that's all on stevemills.co. I think it's /training, but it's definitely my training page on that website. So back to what I was talking about. So what is your one thing? What is the one thing that you should be doing in your business right now? Now, many people listen to my podcast. Probably everybody's one thing is different. Some people like things. Some people go, do you know what? I really don't like social media, Steve. Or, I hear people tell me all the time that, well, Facebook's not for business, is it, Steve? And that is just the biggest load of rubbish ever. Facebook's fantastic for business. And, you really should be using that without a doubt. Whether it's your one thing or not really depends, I think, on A, whether your market's on Facebook, B, whether you like using Facebook, C, whether you're any good at using Facebook or at least willing to be committed to learn more about Facebook. And I suppose D would be, like the idea, you believe in Facebook, as you probably tell I do too. And, so your selection of the one thing is the next thing that's like fairly tough to do, but you definitely need to work on that. You need to work on your selection of your one thing. What is the one thing you're going to do? And then you got to go and do it well. And when I say well, I mean you've got to be outstanding. And by outstanding, I mean standing out. You haven't got to be the same as your competitors, because if you are, you'll get the same results, which the same results are actually often not very good. So what you need to do is to make sure that you get a positive result and that you do not do something without really thinking carefully about what is the result that you want to try to achieve and which is the best vehicle to get that. But really spend some time learning, understanding, making sure that you know how to market yourself on that platform, whatever that may be, as effectively as you possibly can. So I don't know what step it is, but the next step is, once you've got the one thing and you're doing that really, really well, then roll it out. What do I mean by that? I mean that, let's say, for example, you found something that works well. It's working really well in your business. Then don't go and find something else. Just do more of what works. If you found that email marketing is the thing for you, and, email's working brilliantly, despite everybody saying, well, nobody opens emails these days, which, by the way, is a load of rubbish. Go and find a way of improving. That could be growing the database. You're marketing yourself to 10,000 people. If you could market to 20,000 over a period of time, perhaps that would double your business. Or perhaps you send out more messages, or perhaps you send out better messages, or perhaps you send out to better qualified prospects, and so on and so forth. So or perhaps you send out video email instead of normal email. But whatever it is, you're constantly searching for ways of improving your return on investment. It's always about the ROI. And then my last point on this podcast is, once you've done that and you've got that working as well as possible and you've expanded it as much as possible, then now is the time to go and find your second one thing, or you could call that your second thing. So in other words, go and replicate what you've already done. You've taken all your marketing, you've found one element of it, you've made it better and better and better, you've invested more and more time, money and effort into that, you got the best possible return on investment from it, and now you're going to look at step 2, the next most effective thing. And then when you've done that, guess what? Step 3, the next best effective thing, and so on and so forth. So, do you know what? I will finish this podcast by telling you that I think what I've just said there is pretty much gold dust. It really is. It's pretty much something that could help you go from wherever you are right now and help you to double, triple, quadruple the size of your business. And I hope it does. And I'd love to be part of that journey. If you'd like more from me, If you want me to be your coach, if you want me to be your mentor, if you want to attend my workshops or my online training, if you want to become part of my results program and get my advice and support, then, now's the time to take action. The action that you need to take is to book a results meeting with me. This is a free meeting. Doesn't cost anything. There's no hard sell. The idea behind it is to discuss several things. One, your current results. How well are things going right now? What's working and what's not? Number two, what do you want your results to be? So I've got a good understanding of your objectives. And then point three, we start to prepare the plan to get you what you want. And then at the end of the meeting, if you decide, yes, we can work together, and you want to go ahead and do so, that's great. And if you don't, that's also cool. So book your meeting. Go to my website again, www.stevemills.co, and get yourself signed up. You'll be glad you did, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Thanks very much.